Next item, please, is item number 743.
743, amend Human Resources Administrative Rule 6.04, sick leave, to increase the calendar year maximum for dependent care from 40 hours to 104 hours of accrued leave.
Colleagues, this ordinance increases the amount of sick leave an employee is eligible to use for qualifying Family Medical Leave Act, FMLA, and Oregon Family Leave Act, OFLA, dependent events. The current rule allows an employee up to 40 hours of accrued sick time to care for a qualifying dependent. That's a spouse, a child, a parent, etc. This ordinance increases the amount to 104 hours of accrued sick time to care for a qualified dependent. The change is aligned with the overall employer of choice strategies approved by the council. Supporting employees during qualifying events is important. Yeah, I hate to talk about this as qualifying events. I realize this is HR and it's legal, but what we're really talking about is allowing our employees to care for loved ones when they're experiencing a very serious or potentially terminal health event. Only allowing an employee to use 40 hours of sick time can be a hardship to the employee if they don't have sizable vacation and or comp time banks and or significant personal savings. This change is already in place within the PTE 17 collective bargaining agreement, as the request to increase this offering for PTE 17 members originated through collective bargaining. Changing this within the Human Resources Administrative Rule to support non-represented employees, and then also offering this to other union groups through a memorandum of agreement, is appropriate to consistently apply the rule across all city employees. And with that, I'd like to pass this on to Health and Financial Benefits Manager Kathy Bless. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Mayor. Good morning, Commissioners. There's not a lot to add to your talking points. We support and want to recognize employees who really are struggling to balance a serious health condition of a dependent, an eligible dependent, and their work, right? These are protected benefits under federal family leave laws and the Oregon Family Leave Act. And it isn't additional time, right? So employees earn sick leave as part of the benefits that they receive. And so this doesn't increase that. It just changes the way in which an employee is allowed to use the time that they accrue.
Very good. Thank you. Colleagues, any further questions? Commissioner Daly? Very good. Public testimony?
Yes, one person signed up.
Very good.
Rachel
Thanks, Kathy.
Whiteside.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am a union representative for PTE Local 17 members, and I'm here to speak in support of this ordinance. As was already mentioned, we have received this benefit through our negotiations. But while I'm here to speak in support of this, I wanted to let you know that during the course of our research for negotiations, we could not find any other public employer that placed any limitations on the use of personal sick leave for the care of dependents. I strongly support any step towards making the city an employer of choice, but I do think if you're really committed to that, you could go a step further. But I support this as a good step. We wholeheartedly support all employees receiving the benefits that we negotiated on behalf of our employees. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Joe Walsh. I represent Individuals for Justice. A long time ago, in the 1990s, I was a chief union steward for the IBEW and a federal worker. We didn't have any limitations on sick leave. We accumulated sick leave, if I remember correctly, 8 hours a month. It was 4 hours a payday. So if you were not very ill over a long period of time and then you became ill, you were pretty well covered. You were covered with our medical, which was pretty good, but also sick leave. Any limitations on sick leave should be rational. This is not rational. 40 hours max, if I understand what you're saying,
No, Joe,
is not rational.
it isn't 40 hours.
Please explain.
It's been increased from 40 hours to 104 hours.
Which is what people.
Well, it's 40 hours now.
We're about to vote on which would increase the ceiling to 104 hours.
I know, but what you have now, what is it now?
It's 40, and this will increase
That's
it.
what I said. 40 hours is irrational. That's where you are now. You want to go to 120, right?
104.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just saying to you that we support you on this one.
Okay.
That we don't have a problem, and we're pointing out to any opposition that it is illogical to put a burden on your employees over 40 hours. That's crazy. That's not good policy. You should take care of your employees. And if you're going to go step by step, I hope someday you do what the feds do. And you do it 8 hours a month. I think it was 8 hours a month. 2 paydays, yeah, 8 hours a month. So anyway, I'm sorry I confused you, Commissioner. I'm not feeling that well, and
I'm easily confused these days, Joe. You're doing great.
pardon?
You're doing great, and you're supporting this.
Yeah, our argument is that it should be the most generous that you can possibly do. I know you're restrained by money, and you have lots of employees, so every time you do something, it's really expensive. But this is money, I think, well spent if you take care of your employees.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I have a question for staff.
Commissioner Udaly.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi.
So just so everyone's on the same page, could you tell us how many hours people accrue of sick pay on a monthly and annual basis?
Absolutely. So they do accrue 4 hours of sick time per pay period. It's 104 hours per calendar year, and it accrues in an unlimited basis. So employees can save that time. And just also to clarify kind of the sequence of how employees use time. This ordinance obviously changes the use of access to sick leave accrual for dependents from 40 hours to 104. So that's initially right out of the gate. After that 104 hours, the employee can move to access their vacation time and their comp time. And if they're out of all other paid time, they circle back to being able to use their sick time. And then if they exhaust all time, they would also be eligible to apply for catastrophic leave. So we have a number of different ways in which we will continue to support the employee through the process.
So I think I understood what you just said, but if they can circle back and use the rest of their sick time, why wouldn't we just allow, do we let them roll over sick time in perpetuity? They get to
Yes.
keep all of it? Okay.
They do.
So why wouldn't we allow them to just exhaust the sick time up front and then move on?
That would be an amendment to the ordinance, certainly. It
Well, but
is.
Kathy, it's not just an amendment to the ordinance. This is what was bargained at the
It
table.
was, oh, yeah, that was my next.
So we can,
This is what was right.
technically amend any ordinance, but I would be reluctant to get in the middle of collective bargaining once we've struck a contract.
Sure.
Right, and this was collectively bargained through the PTE contract. This ordinance allows us to offer it to all the other unions through a memorandum of understanding, and it allows us to roll this out to non-represented employees. So we can absolutely talk with council about how to move forward in later negotiations, but at this point in time, this is the ordinance that's here today.
Great, yeah, and I'm not suggesting an amendment, I just thought there were some legitimate questions raised. And I
What was
wanted
the
get
answer
them
to
answered.
Commissioner Daly's question about rolling over? How much can be rolled over for how long?
You can roll over on an unlimited basis for your career.
Now, Kathy, I have to say, having represented labor organizations 25 years ago, and, you know, Joe Walsh was talking about his experience, you know, with the IBEW. It wasn't that long ago that the standard clause that I'm familiar with was use it or lose it. And there were strict limits on rollover. So what we've done is we've now boosted by about 2.5 times the amount that you can accrue and use in a calendar year, and we put no limits on rollover. So I think we should be pretty proud of that, and as someone dealing with a major health challenge, I think the more freedom, the more flexibility we give our workforce to be able to deal with health issues away from work safely so they don't have to come to work when they're not feeling well is important. And I think there's been a suggestion that we may want to even enhance this benefit the next time we take it up. I'd be interested in knowing how other cities and counties have addressed it. But, you know, 25 years ago, the standard was not even close to this. And there was a use it, you lose it in a lot of the contracts that I had a hand in. And so I think we're on our way to becoming a model employer. Maybe we need to do better, but I think we should celebrate that this is a big step forward. And this was achieved at the bargaining table through demands made by our labor partners. So credit to them.
Correct, correct. And protected leave wasn't really in place up to 25 years ago either.
That's correct,
So
yeah.
there's been a lot of enhancements over time.
Shift in thinking.
Mhm, absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Please call the roll, Carla.
Saltzman,
Aye.
Udaly,
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Thanks for your hard work on this. I vote aye. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you.